Languages through music. Languages through music. Languages through music. Languages through music.
So, welcome everybody to the Languages Through Music podcast. Very special guest today, Bahghi. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for
Singer,
having me.
songwriter, musician, amazing artist, globe-trotting artist who I was lucky to meet in real life before all of this happened,
Yes.
briefly in London town. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm happy to see you again, and happy that I get to ask you questions about all the wonderful things I've been seeing in the last months of your song, your collaboration with your also amazing musician, producer, brother,
Yes.
25, Zanzibar, all of these questions. But let us start with something I love asking everybody. What is your earliest music memory?
So this is a interesting question because I didn't have like a song or something or an artist, but it's just the being in the living room and having different kinds of music. So it's not really one thing, but we listened to Eritrean music, to classical music, the radio, Dutch music, like so many different things. So it's like um, a collection of like different. Yeah, but just for me, it's more the vibe of like being there in the living room and just things coming at me because I didn't choose the music. Yeah.
So big mix of music
Yeah.
influences. How about languages? So what was your language at home, language at school? What other languages came into your learning?
Yes. So at home, we spoke usually Dutch with my mom and Tigrinya with my dad when they were still together, or it would be more mixed. Then when my parents divorced, we stayed with my mom in the house, so we spoke only Dutch and kind of Tigrinya also like I forgot a little bit about it. It didn't become as fluent as it was before. And because my mother speaks fluent Italian and she was a lot on the phone with like people and family and friends, I really picked up some of Italian as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And then at school, what other languages did you study?
At school we had a lot actually. We had like, of course, yeah, Dutch, and then English, German, French, and then I went to a grammar school, so you had what's it called, ancient Greek and Latin
Oh
as
my
well.
goodness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have any favorites of those, the ones you had to study?
Yeah, ancient Greek.
Amazing.
Yes, because I love that it's also a different alphabet. So it really, when you see it, it's like you don't know what it is, but then it's like a puzzle, and then you have a whole story. I love
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
You're the second guest on the podcast to tell me that this I interviewed this amazing polyglot in Rwanda. He
Uh-huh.
speaks 26, 27 languages.
Oh wow.
Yeah, mad. And he was saying that ancient Greek really helped him unlock European languages.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
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 Oh, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also since you've spent 6 months recently in Zanzibar, you must have picked
Yes,
up some Swahili as
I did.
well.
Yes.
Amazing. Amazing.
Oh, and I think also like that's also one of these languages. If you just learn it in a certain period of time, if and it was all around you when I go, it slips away so fast. And I found it such a pity. I should actually, I think maybe watch more TV or movies or something in Swahili. That will make it better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you discover music and artists there that
Yes.
you enjoyed as well?
Yeah, definitely. Old, like from long time ago or longer time ago, and now I love it. I love Diamond Platinums also,
Yeah.
YouTube, and like those people. I think it's great. And then you have also the traditional Zanzibar music. It's like called tu,
Tarab? Is
yeah,
it
tarab, I
Tarab?
think,
Tayab? I'm not sure.
something like this. So with the singing and the percussion, it sounds like a mix of like more Middle Eastern music and Arabic, and it's beautiful. And then what else? And more like older stuff. I think it was from Tanzania, Les Fanika.
Hmm.
So different music from around Zanzibar and Tanzania I discovered. It was really nice.
Beautiful. Do you feel music has ever helped you learning a language?
I think so because in music, often they repeat the same words, so they stick better. And then in a story, in the context of a story, so definitely, yeah.
What inspired your Zanzibari escape? Had you
Oh,
always wanted to go, or was it specifically to have more time to write and create? Or
yeah. So it's a strange. I didn't really plan on going to Zanzibar. I wanted to go to like East Africa for a while. And then I had a dream of traveling with someone to like somewhere. And then this person called me and said, like, I think we should go to Zanzibar. So I went. um, and then, but it was kind of like we split ways already after a week. So it was still, yeah, I really wanted to focus on myself actually, and at the same time on my music. But what I noticed as was that if I didn't have a solid base of how I run my music business, like remotely, because I couldn't really perform that much, then going somewhere and building it up is kind of tough. So it went like a
Hmm.
different direction, but I had a lot of like different experiences and lived at the beach and also in the main what is it called? The capital city of Zanzibar. So yeah, it was great.
But that's yeah, and I think that's a kind of wealth that you can carry back into,
Yeah,
that is, you are your music business. So
yeah.
any experience of travel or different music, different languages, that's only kind of enriching, I
Definitely. I
feel.
learned so much about myself also and going to Ethiopia because the last time I went to Eritrea actually was when I was 12, and just being
Mm.
a grown up and being and knowing better who I am and being and also embracing more of where I come from to be there and see all these youngsters that are my age doing their thing and still like tied to the tradition. It really inspired me like, okay, it's where I come from. I'm allowed to like really stand on those roots and to take that energy, and that's my foundation, or one of my foundations. So it was, I think, I became back like kind of a stronger person. So that's
Mm.
great. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I was in Ethiopia again briefly 2019, and
Mm-hmm.
what I really like was knowing that your family or your parents have history there or have those moments there. I think that's a really nice connection when you're able to go
Exactly.
back. And my dad worked on for Radio Ethiopia in the 70s, and so when I was there I was just kind of imagining like, oh, where might they have hung out or lived, or
Yes,
so
yeah, yeah.
it's
My family's
nice.
from Eritrea, so I only have one auntie in Ethiopia, so there's
Mm.
less like of that kind of a history. But I can imagine that's so exciting to like discover a city like that and knowing like,
Mm. That's the exact same for me. So my dad's from Eritrea, but I have one auntie, his favorite auntie, who lives in Addis.
oh wow,
Yeah, so it's funny, small worlds. And then I've
yeah,
just discovered, because I only discovered really late in the game that my like biological grandfather was a musician. And so
okay,
I just discovered I have a very young, talented singer cousin in
yeah,
Addis. So it's
oh
nice to
wow,
rediscover these things.
yeah,
One of the first songs I remember you sharing was Mejimedi Afikri, the cover
mm-hmm.
that you did, the beautiful Tahaitu cover. What made you choose that song? What was your reaction to having chosen that song? I mean, I'm sure the entire Eritrean community was like, ah, but I,
Mm-hmm.
I was just recently speaking to an artist who, her management kind of discouraged her from singing in too many languages, better to focus on one. Or yeah, what was that experience of choosing Majmaria Fikri and then performing it? What was that process like?
Yeah. So the reason why I chose that song was actually I was playing at a kind of a social event, which was organized by um, yeah, this cultural house, and they organized sessions or like events called the that community. No, the Pakhuis de Zwijger meets this community. So now there was an addition with the Eritrean community, and it's especially like for the new Eritreans that are coming to the Netherlands, and then yeah, the ones that come as refugees at the moment. So one I was asked to play at this event, and I thought, oh wow, I would love to play an Eritrean song, because or like a song in Tigrinya at least. So yeah, I looked and I know Tahaitu Barake. I love her. She's so cool, like with the Quran, and such a badass
With her
woman. And
tattoo.
exactly, like for me, she's so cool. And yeah, I found it very kind of like it gave me, how do you call that, like feeling like, oh, how can I do a song like her when I'm not into playing in that way at all, those rhythms, her timing. How can I do justice and like not copy exactly what she does, because I want it to be original as well. But so I went actually completely away from it, because I thought, for me at the time, I hadn't spoken Tigrinya in a long time, so also my pronunciation was very like rusty. So I just focused on the lyrics and tried to make it something beautiful and dreamy, and because that's what I do. And then, yeah.
It was First Love. It's beautiful. Didn't she also live in Holland?
Yeah, she did for a while in Rotterdam.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing an interview with her speaking Nederlands. What?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, she spoke here, and she made also one album with this like rock punk band. Not with that, they don't
What?
play the music, but they so she really got like into that scene of, there's this band called the X. They
Okay.
also, Fendika in Addis.
I've heard of it, yes.
Okay, so the owner of Fendika, he also plays with this band.
Hmm.
And they're like rock punk, like in the 70s, they were super, 70s and 80s, they were super popular.
A
And
Dutch
so,
band.
a Dutch band, and I
Hmm.
don't know how they met Tahaitu. I think they found her music. So they really like met each other. They went to Eritrea together. They made a
Wow.
documentary. They made a whole album where she plays the music and they produce it. And so it's a very interesting story, like, yeah, with her in Rotterdam.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so cool that when, it's so nice looking at these classic legendary musicians and seeing the different chapters they had or the different collaborations that we might not have known of. I remember watching a documentary on Aretha Franklin, and she
Yeah.
had all these different phases that like we don't necessarily hear about. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
really the sign of a real artist, always
Right?
testing
Definitely.
themselves and not being afraid of making a mistake or what might
Yes.
be considered a mistake. Or yeah, I think that's great. Nene Cherry is an artist I love, and
Mm-hmm.
she had this whole kind of electronic thing for a moment, and then she comes back
Mm-hmm.
and she's just always exploring. Or
Yeah, that's so cool. I think artists should have the freedom to do that.
exactly, if artists don't, then who does?
Yeah, right? Like, wow. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
amazing. So there's so many questions I would love to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
But is there music that you don't necessarily understand the language or the words, but you just really feel drawn to, or you love the sound?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's lots of music where I don't know what the language, what they say exactly. It can be anything actually, even with like I said, the music from Tanzania, which is
Mm.
also like in English sometimes. So then sometimes they use words, but I love Senegalese music and Ethiopian music, and I don't speak Amharic. So for me, it's really about like also the groove of the music. I love Cuban music, so
Mm.
yeah.
A singer friend of mine, she talks about kind of feelings you can only feel in different languages, or things you can only experience in different languages.
Yeah.
How would you speak on that in your experience? Like with Tigrinya, do you feel that certain Tigrinya, using Tigrinya or certain Tigrinya music is good for this, or English is more comfortable for this in particular, or Dutch is when you're feeling emotional, or how would
Yeah, yeah,
you kind
yeah.
of
As
place
a
those?
listener, you mean, or as a singer?
As a singer, like in your music,
Mm.
do
Yes.
you write songs? Do you think that you'll write more in Tigrinya or in Dutch, or are you more comfortable doing it in English?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think the flow of the ease of writing is mostly in English, actually. And I haven't written any song in a different language, which is
Okay.
actually interesting now. I not in Dutch. Not even singing. I sing mostly in English as well. So also because I come from as a musician more from the jazz tradition, which is very American.
Mm-hmm.
So and also like when I was younger, I think at some point I was really mostly drawn to like R&B and these kinds of stuff. So that's also like the kind of artist that I really wanted to be.
Yeah.
Um, but for me, I would love to sing in French. Just
Okay.
because I love the language. I think I should have been able to speak French, but it just didn't happen yet.
Yeah, with
So
all the languages you speak, I'm sure French would be a walk in the park. And I think, in my experience, Tigrinya is the most difficult thing on the planet. So
it is, right?
I think it's really
Yes.
hard.
Yeah.
It is really hard.
Yeah.
And I love studying all languages, and but yeah, Tigrinya, I think if we can cope even a bit with Tigrinya,
Yeah.
everything else is possible.
Yeah. But I
Everything
think
else.
there is something special about performing that Tigrinya song because it's like certain people that usually understand everything you say, for them it's a vibe. For other people, it's like you feel that it's so much like a homecoming when they hear that song. And that is not a feeling that I get from English music or
Mm,
and what I also know, for instance, Dutch when I sing in Dutch. I feel like I need to stress less about the words. And because in English it's not my native language, I'm trying to make myself understood. And with
mhm,
Dutch, I know how words work more intuitively even. So I think I can be more subtle.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with all of that, and especially the homecoming, how special it is for people. I remember being on a train in the UK, like in the 90s, with my dad, and across like two rows of seats, he saw someone looking at a newspaper in Tigrinya.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Tigrinya or Amharic, but I just remember seeing the Fidel Emma. He just lost his mind. He was
Yeah,
so
yeah,
excited. He just leapt up
exactly.
and was like, just super so excited. He forgot his laptop on the train, and then he had to like run back and stop the moving train and grab his laptop. But he was just so excited to see the
Wow, I know that
our
feeling.
alphabet
Yeah.
on a train in England. He lost his mind. Are there any languages that you haven't? So besides French, or especially African languages, if you were to add another African language to the ones that you speak, would it be Swahili or other or Wolof, or if you had to start another?
Yes, I think Swahili definitely. Also Amharic and Wolof would be great, but I think if I'm learning French already, I'll stick to French because I think
Mm,
Wolof is also far away from like I know just three words, like far away from my whole language knowledge. You know what I
mm-hmm,
mean? It's nothing like I've ever I cannot connect to different languages that I know. And Swahili has Arabic, it has Tigrinya, like not Tigrinya, but it has some things that are, and it's very simple in a way. Maybe
mm-hmm,
Wolof is too, this I don't know even.
mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm.
yeah.
Amazing.
And if I could learn Arabic, that would also be great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the language
That's
is a bit close to where I'm from still. And
mm-hmm.
French.
And it's nice when you see those words like, oh, I recognize that from
Yeah.
her, and then you can connect those in your mind for
Yeah.
sure. So now that you're back in Amsterdam, and you've had this wonderful 6 months in Ethiopia and Zanzibar, what with the world, hopefully, inshallah, opening up
Mhm.
a bit now.
Right.
What are if you could tell us a bit about your upcoming music plans, dreams, studies,
Yeah.
projects, any?
Yeah. So before, so I applied for two masters actually, but I'm hoping to get admitted to one. It's called live electronics, so I can work more on my on different sides of the music, yeah, aspect. And I want to release my music, so I have at least one EP and some singles ready that I just need to release, actually make a good plan
Yeah.
around it and let it go.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So live electronics like Ableton or like in a set in a live performance
Um,
setting?
Both. So it's also about learning how to work with Ableton and Logic, but also how to create a live performance where you at least do something that is not acoustic, I guess, and
Mm-hmm.
you experiment with the different sounds, filters. So it's really things that I don't know much about. So I'm really curious, like to really, yeah, dive into something new.
Fantastic. And that would be in Amsterdam as well?
Yes. Yeah.
How cool.
Yeah.
Holland strikes me as really good for music education. There was a school I thought about applying to at one point. I think it's in Rotterdam.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Code arts?
yes, I think that's it.
Yeah.
And there just seem to be so many cool cultural musical
Yeah,
programs and funding and yeah.
definitely. There's so many opportunities here also for funding to go to school and to, at least if you're from Europe, then they make it easier. Then it's easier. So yeah. I never thought I would do a master's, but now I feel like it's a good opportunity also for the current moment where things are like slowly happening, and I can also take my time to slowly learn something and yeah.
That's it. And I think, you're doing it with intention and purpose. I think, often, people get into the right out of school, go study, right after this, do the
Yes,
masters before, you lose the motivation.
exactly.
So, you've taken your time, you've traveled, you've created, you've released music, and then you've said, this is what I want to do. I'm going to try and do
Exactly.
this. So it's a totally
Yeah.
different, you know exactly what you want to do, and that's wonderful. I think so many people never find out, and you already
Hmm.
have. So
Yeah.
that's wonderful. And are we going to be hearing more collaborations with your brother as well?
I would love to. It's really my wish, like my dream. Yeah, because I think he's so talented. He just has a feeling for like flow, and I think that's great. So I would love to work on it. Yeah, with him.
Amazing. Well,
Yeah.
any new music will be blasting on Languages Through Music Radio all day.
Yes, nice.
So thank you so much for joining me today for a chat about languages and music.
Yes, thank you so much
And
for having me.
I sincerely hope to see a live gig of yours before the
Yes,
year is out.
it's happening on the 25th of May. Yeah, there's a live
Amazing.
stream from Paradiso, Amsterdam.
Okay.
So then you can watch me play.
Yeah,
Yeah.
amazing. So that's going to be live stream and a public as well, or still
No
separate?
public, I think. So
Okay.
the stream is actually the day before, and it's gonna be the concert is the day before, and it's gonna be how do you call it? Broadcasted the day after on the 25th.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
25th of May, Paradiso.
Yes.
Okay, we'll be watching that for sure.
Nice.
بتعمي
Okay.
أني اللي هفتي.
Yes, Kensepki. My pleasure. It was so nice.
Thank you.
Languages to music.